Welcome back to Steven's Trains. I know it's been a little while since I have uploaded a video, so I thought I'd show my current progress. As you can see, I have a lot more painting done. I got a lot of the track moved out of the way so I can get the painting done here. I just have this section right back here to paint up. And then after that, the painting is, also I have a little bit of patch down here to paint up. The trains were in the way there, so I didn't move them just yet. And then after that, the painting is done. I have not painted this area down here as I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do here. So I didn't want to put paint down just to tear it up or to try to glue on some more foam or what have you. So I'm just gonna leave it be for now until I figure it out. Now I do have a can of spray foam, which I'm gonna be using to fill in gaps like here and back here. As well as I have a nice big gap on this incline back there on the underside of this industry. There's a nice little gap there that I need to fill in. So if a train ever were to derail there, it will literally fall in behind the foam down, which will be a nightmare to get out. So that's on my to-do list as well. I was kind of thinking of doing for here, maybe having like a waterfall appear out of nowhere, if you will, or, you know, run down here and then have a little, have it running this way to a nice little lake down in this area. I might try to do that. So maybe work on a water effect or make something that looks nothing like water, but you know, we'll see what I can do. I heard water effect can be challenging. If anybody has any tips, please drop it in the chat line. I'd love to hear some advice on that, what I could possibly do. I know some people also mentioned about doing a rock quarry. So if you have some ideas on how I could achieve that here, I'm all ears. That would be great to hear. So yes, on to my DCC journey. What you're looking at here is 20 Kato. This is the number 24818 feeders. I bought 20 of these bad boys. So I'm gonna attach these at various points on my track, drop it down through my foam, cut off that white connector tip there, and attach this to my bus system. Now I do have 3 feeders on my freight line right now, which are they're the small piece of track where this connects underneath the track, which those are prone to disconnect. So I'm gonna ditch those 3 for my freight line. Maybe I'll move them to my passenger line, so I'll have 5 or so feeders on my passenger line, which certainly could not hurt that line. So I'm just right now looking at having 20. Now I know a lot of people brought up a really good point with DCC. So with these being my number 6 switches, these are power routing. So what that means to my understanding, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is for example, when this switch is thrown this way, power is killed to this line and the power is running that way. When the switch is thrown for the other direction, power is killed this way, but then the power is fed to this line. Now with DCC, if I have a feeder on every inch of track or feeding every bit of track that I have, all of these engines that I have parked in various different places will be getting power on, lights on potentially. If they have sound, they'll be sound activated, the whole 9 yards. So I know some people mentioned about running some blocks or whatnot, that is still a little bit kind of confusing to me, if you will. So I know some people had pointed out that, my switches here kind of act like their own little block, if you will. So I guess what I could do is I have these 2 small tracks here at the back. Maybe I can have these be my dedicated engine storage, if you will, where maybe I'll have an engine parked at the back like you see here. I can still have some freight cars in the front, if whatnot. But I cannot put a feeder on this leg here and just have this being fed by a feeder way over here at the front of at the front of my series of switches, because these switches are back to back to back. So I can have a feeder right here that will feed all of these switches that I have in my yard. So once everything is running straight to those back tracks, they will get power. Now I could put some feeders on my other yard lines if I wanted to, just for some extra power, or I can just put none on there at all. So let me know what you guys think. Now I started to run some wires. So this is my power pack for my passenger line, which right now is just going to stay DC, as I mentioned before, and I'll share some reasons why. Some later videos, I have some stuff on pre-ordered that I'll share with you once it comes in. But anyhow, I started cutting these or drilling in the holes here to run this stuff. I actually have a piece of 1x1 that I'm going to use to put a nice little border here to keep this in place, and I'm going to sandwich it right here to keep this nice and tight so it can't move left or right, and so that these hopefully don't pop off, because very little, actually these are staying on pretty good, but as you can see, they can just come on and off relatively easily. This one was proving me wrong by actually being on there pretty sturdy for a change. I'm sure a lot of you guys with Kato know exactly what I'm talking about with that. And I had a little boo-boo here. As I was doing this, I knocked one of these off my shelf and it fell 5 feet down to concrete. So, yay, $10 down the drain. Anyhow, figured I'd show you some of my wiring that I have going on. So this is my passenger line here. I've been drilling some holes through, kind of running the lines. And right now they're just haphazardly, hanging or whatnot. Once I have it done, I'll zip tie them up, try to get some hangers to have this kind of nicely, hung up there out of the way. So I can kind of tell this is passenger, what's freight. And my bus is obviously going to be drilled through here, running the full length of my layout. So I've been talked into, which I appreciate. I'm gonna try to pick up a 12 gauge solid wire for my bus. So I'm gonna run that. I'm planning on buying 40 feet of blue, 40 feet of white wire to run the entire length of my layout. So maybe I'll just literally follow the loop, have it take here, run to the end, come and do a circle, go all the way around, follow my entire layout. Do the dog bone, whatever the heck you want to call this here, this kick out here, where it'll follow the loop here, come back around, coming through here, and then just terminate at some point around here. And then I can mount my NCE cab, that smart board or whatever it's called, somewhere here. I figured probably somewhere in the middle of my layout, so that way with the handheld unit I can walk to this yard over here to control stuff, or I could walk over to that yard to control stuff. Sorry for the pan screening there, but anyhow, that's what I have going on right here. I also picked up a couple more feeder extensions for my DC line, because I'm going to be running a bus for my freight line, so I don't need these any longer. Use that for my DC line, and I picked up a bunch more of these for my switch extensions. So I figured I'll just keep running these to my Kato pack and call it a day for now, and then maybe look into in the future, once I learn more about DC, maybe getting like the Digitrax, I don't know what it's called, but the switch controller. I believe they can control 4 switches, then I can mount a series of push buttons along here in various different areas to control my switches. That's an idea anyhow, but just wanted to share my progress that I have made. Let there be switch power. I got all of my passenger line switches are all up and running. So here's 1, 2, and part of my reach, but far out there. There we go. 3 and 4. They're all working. All right, so I'm gonna add a feeder here to my passenger line. So this is gonna make feeder number 4 for this line. And I now, for the first time, have all 3 feeders hooked up. So I thought before I needed to buy some extensions, but I just kind of rejigged how I had things here, and I was able to use my 3 switcher, what do I call this? A 3-way splitter for my freight line. I added it to my passenger line, and I hooked up these guys, the 2 feeders that I have on this side of the layout, to this guy here, leaving me 1 extra port to drop into another line. And then I ran that using an extension that I already had to my original 3-way splitter. And now I'm going to drop in this splitter that I'm adding, or this feeder that I'm adding right now is going to plug into this port here. So now making it so I have 4 feeders on my passenger line, which I'll have to make a little video of that to see if I see any improvement having 4 feeders as opposed to 2, because I actually never ever ran this layout on 3 feeders. Even though I had them in there, that third one was never ever hooked up. So I'm going to go from having 2 feeders to 4 here shortly, and I'll take a video and see how that looks. And just in case anybody was curious, oh, I have a tripod now. I finally got one. And thought I'd put my ugly mug on here for everybody to see. But anyway, going back, just in case anybody was curious, this is how I'm putting the power feeders through my layout. I have this nice long flathead screwdriver, drilling a hole with, what is this, about an 18-inch or so, half-inch drill bit. And then just the fun job of shoving it through. Just like that, 1 feeder added. So I think I have the layout all painted now, or at least with everything that I intend to paint, minus the future lake, river, rock quarry, whatever it's gonna be. This is not painted over here. It's nice to not see so much purple now. All right, I've made a layout change, or not a layout change, but a build change, if you will. So before, this was mounted on the bottom of the 1x3 here, protruding out a good, 6 or so inches. And now I have it mounted underneath the layout. So, and moving the passenger controller here, as opposed to being way over here, what that has enabled me to do is remove 4 switch extenders just by moving it, a good, 4 feet? Good 4 feet over. So it definitely helps the cause. I'm going to need plenty of these for my freight line. So now I have some extras. So right now I'm putting passenger controller here, and then over here I'll put the freight power pack with all 16 switches right here. And that's just going to be for controlling the switches. Because what I plan on doing is getting a nice fascia board for here to make this nice and smooth, and probably raise it up. I don't know, maybe if you guys can give me some advice here. Should I have this being about 1 inch? Maybe like a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch? I'm just, putting this here just in case anything were to come off the rail, it'll hit that instead of flying down to, I got to buy more land. So, and then here, probably the same thing. I was going to do it, 1/2 inch above here, but this side, I was going to do it a full, maybe 6 to 10 inches. Just so, when I'm making videos, it kind of blocks off a little bit of, all this crap here. So, and maybe I could stick some scenery stuff to it. I don't know, just an idea. But just wanted to show this. This just kind of came to me while I was staring at it, and I just quickly put it into place. Let me know your thoughts on this. All right, well, everything that I have just showed you guys, I actually did all the work today. So again, I got everything painted. I did at first get this hooked up over there completely where all 4 switches were going, and then I decided that I didn't want that anymore. I ripped it all out and I moved it all underneath here, but I got it all back up and hooked up and running. So now I'm just waiting for all this to dry, and I'll relay all the track. But yeah, I did all this work today, so I just thought I'd show what I did today. But anyway, just wanted to thank you all for watching and giving me all your tips and comments and advice. It's been very, very helpful. I appreciate it. So as always, thanks for watching.